What up, guys? My name is Disco, and this is my colleague David, and we are here for another episode of Selected Series with JR of Premier Fitness. What up, JR?
Hey,
What's up, guys? Good to have you guys.
thanks for coming, bro.
Yes, bro, definitely. So let's start off, man. Let's start off with who is JR and what is Premier Fitness? Just give us a little background.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I was born and raised here.
Mm-hmm.
Went to Cathedral City Elementary School, went to Nellie Coffin Middle School,
That's
went
right.
to Cat City High. So I'm a Cathedral City kid, like
That's right.
through and through,
Yes,
you know.
sir.
And went off to college and thought I wanted to be something else. I thought I wanted to be a broadcast journalist, and it didn't pan out the way I liked it. And so I moved back home and had to find myself and who I really wanted to be, and ended up being a personal trainer.
Wow, man. Jeez. So you're from Cat City. So you born out in India, or were you a Palm Springs kid?
So that's a funny story because I always tell people, like, how hood or how ghetto are you? And I always tell people there's only two types of people in the valley. It was those that were born at Desert Hospital,
Yes, sir.
and those we call those the rich kids, and then there's us of us that were lucky to survive and make it out of JFK, bro.
I agree, dude. I agree, man. I agree. So you grew up in Cat City, and you said you played sports your whole life, right?
Yeah. I
Whoa.
played mostly baseball.
Okay.
Like, baseball was my sport. Played a little football from elementary school. From middle school all the way down to high school.
Okay.
But baseball was like
Your
bred
thing?
in our family. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So you're
yeah.
a big Dodger fan, I see.
Yeah, big Dodger fan, big baseball fan, period, man.
Okay.
But, it's just kind of like that's the family sport. You know what I mean?
Okay,
So,
okay.
That's the sports you guys watched as kids with your whole family?
yeah, man, like that started off with like my grandparents and like there was never any other option like
Right.
to like any other team. Like that's who we watched and
Right.
It's a bonding time.
Do you have family from like LA? Like you guys would go out there and
that's
watch
that's
games
the
and
funny
stuff?
part, bro, is that not one single person is from LA.
Really?
Like everyone's from here.
I think it's like by default, like
Yeah, just 'cause
SoCal, like
it's
you
so
have
close,
to, like
yeah.
you're Latino, you know.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So we grew up, but there's the Palm Springs Angels used to have like out here,
Right.
and
You
the
guys were
California
there
Angels.
all
So
the
we
time?
were there all the time, bro. It's crazy because I guess you don't realize like that you're poor and broke because you fucking do so much stuff. Oh, sorry about language.
That's
Nah, bro. you're
But
good.
you don't realize like how many opportunities, how many things you did, like even though we were broke. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we went out to go see the Angels like all the time, bro. I mean, I saw all kinds of players, the Jim Edmonds, Ricky Henderson,
Wow.
the Mark McGuires, the Jose Canseco, like all these dudes that used to come out to Palm Springs like it was nothing.
Right,
So
dude.
yeah,
That's
it's
good.
crazy.
When that? Do you remember when that stopped?
I want to say like mid 90s, dude.
Okay,
Like late
okay.
90s, like maybe 96, 97, I think.
So-
Was when they started like not coming back here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Man. So, man, tell us a little bit about, how you got into the fitness game, why you got into the fitness game. Let's get to the origin story, bro.
yeah, it's a pretty crazy origin story, man. So it involves like my ex, man. My
She really
my
did
ex.
something
She
to
did.
you.
Yeah, man.
Be
It's
like
it's,
that sometimes.
it's crazy, but yeah. So I went through this relationship, and I want to talk about it, man, because I don't think it's ever like placed of enough importance about your mental health, and especially during these times, with COVID, kind of like make anybody realize who they really are. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because we get so caught up in everyday life that we're too busy to focus on who we really are. So I had to do a gut check. Yeah, she broke up with me after like 7 years because I was overweight. You
Wow.
know, and growing up as a little kid, like I was always a little overweight, and so that like destroyed me, bro. I mean,
Right.
completely destroyed me. And we were been together for 7 years. We had a daughter. You know what I mean? So I thought I was gonna spend the rest of my life with this girl, and
Right.
and it's crazy how it works, but that revenge bod that I'm gonna show you,
Right.
like kind of got me into the fitness game, and
Right.
started working out a
Just
grip.
work-
And next thing you know, like it just hit me that was the passion that was gonna define my life story.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Was I was gonna help people get out of feeling like I did that day
Right.
as much as possible.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah,
That's so
Crazy.
it's crazy.
Yeah, I think to the audience too that like listens to this later, I think it's relatable for a lot of people. It's like that. it becomes like the revenge bod, but it becomes more than that. It's like it becomes that whole like therapy session, going to the gym
Yeah.
every single day. 'Cause
Yeah.
I can relate to you. I
Yeah.
mean, that's why I started going
Yeah,
to
you know what I mean?
111, and that's why I started doing the podcast thing. You know, it got me out of that. So definitely, it's very relatable to the
Yeah.
common person, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's just, nobody really wants to talk about that kind of stuff
Right.
because everyone wants to go and act like their shit's all together
Right.
and life is good. You know what I mean? But as a trainer, you start to see these people for their intimate selves, and you start to see their true personalities come out, their insecurities, their securities,
Right.
and you help with that. And people don't realize that it's so much more mental than it really is physical when it
Right.
comes to working out and training people and letting those endorphins out. And I always tell people, especially during these times now, it's important for you to get out. You know what I mean?
Right.
Run, walk, crawl, whatever it is you got to do, but just get out there because this mental health is really going to be a big thing, with this COVID thing.
Right. Right.
Oh yeah, I was
And
gonna
about-
ask you about the mental health aspect.
Okay, there you go. Let's go.
Now that we're in COVID times, I guess, um, the whole social distancing aspect of being you're a personal trainer and there's social distancing. Does that affect like the type of training that you do with your athletes?
Yeah, well, it does, just because, our gym's required to be outside now, so that kind of helps out a little bit. And we wear masks and we try to prevent it as much as possible, you know what I mean?
Right.
But at the end of the day, there's certain things that you got to do to be close to someone. So, um,
What are the kind of things you do to make people feel safe in the 111 gym that you guys have?
well, at 111, man,
Or you're at several different gyms, right?
no,
Because
no, no, I'm there full time.
are you doing
Yeah,
your boxing stuff out of there too?
yeah, yeah. I
Oh,
do
sweet.
everything out there now. So, you know, with 111 Conditioning Club, it's been a blessing, man, because like I feel we've always been at the forefront of making sure our place is clean, and Jaime does a really great job.
Yeah, for sure.
With all that, and then we go above and beyond. I mean, we spray, we
Right.
wipe down like all the piece of equipment. We try to not let anyone else use it before we wipe it down and stuff like that. So
Right.
it's just at the end of the day, man, we've had to adapt and either say, okay, we can do this, and I could cry and bitch and moan about how
Yeah.
Right.
much more time it takes. But at the end of the day, like just like everything, man, we've had to adapt and overcome because if not, you're gonna get left behind, bro. And,
Yes,
and
sir.
we don't want to be like that. You know?
You guys are great role models in that
For real.
aspect. That like, you guys started like even Renee got hooked with you guys
Yeah.
out there, and
Yeah,
he's I don't know if he's there more than you guys. I swear, every day is just like he's at 111
Yeah.
every
Right,
day.
right.
Yeah.
Nah, dude, I definitely.
And it
I-
seems like he has a commitment to
Right.
bring you guys up with him too.
I think
You
it's
guys
like
are
what we were talking
pro.
about earlier. It's
Yeah.
like we inspire each other. I feel like you guys inspiring me to keep going, obviously, with like everything that you guys do there. But it's like a cycle, and being there
Yeah.
every single week. It's like keep
You
coming
guys
back.
are
It's
holding
like,
each other accountable.
right. It's that
Yeah.
accountability.
Like I'm here
definitely.
to train, and you're here to
Right.
work out and get yourself a better bod.
Right, and kind of going into that, something what we talked about earlier. For me, I was going to the gym because we've talked about this. Is it made me feel? It gave me the same feeling of when I played soccer, being that teamwork. That
Yeah.
whole team thing. That's why I went. And I'm sure a lot of people that used to be athletes, go to the gym and train with you. And I think that's something we were talking about earlier. Is the whole your a lot of your demographic is ex athletes or
Yeah.
current athletes.
Yeah.
Like set from Seb's level to
Yeah.
somebody like me that just goes to try to get in shape. So what's kind of like your insight on that?
So the thing that when I meet any person that is interested in working out or wants to work out, we kind of have this little orientation. We sit down and I kind of get to know that person a little bit
Yeah.
because we were talking about it earlier before we started taping. As far as I'm big on energy, man.
Right.
Energy has to be there, and that's why I like to get to know that person before I train them because at the end of the day, I'm blessed to be like a really busy trainer. Like that goes above and beyond. But I think a lot of that has to do with the simple fact that I'm selective and careful as far as who comes in to my
Energy.
domain and my energy because I don't need that, to be transferred over because then that kind of it's like letting a little cancer cell in.
Right.
Once you let a little cancer cell in, then it starts to like
Infiltrate everything.
infiltrate and go, and eventually it's going to bring everything apart. And so with Jaime and I, that's how Jaime and I started working together. Is I was I loved what he was about, man, and we've known each other since we were freshmen in high school, and
Wow.
we trained somewhere else together. And once I knew that he was going to open up a spot, I was like, hey, dude, like you got to let me jump in with you.
Sweet.
Right.
And it worked out because he was like, "Hey, I wanted to ask you, but I didn't. At the same time, I didn't want to take you away from this place.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
Because he felt because Jaime was very like cautious about,
Right.
making sure that he doesn't offend anyone. Or
Right.
so it worked out great. But getting back to the energy, it's just every person that I've ever come across training has never said that they don't want to be more athletic.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So you
right.
think about that, right? Everyone's got different ideas and viewpoints on what a great athlete looks like or is like.
Right.
And so that's kind of like where I start to get to know people is I ask them, like off the gate, like, all right, I hear you say you want to lose 30 pounds, right? Everyone comes with the goal and they have a mind frame of what their weight wants to look like, right? But they don't realize that the whole muscle and fat thing is a big difference. Do you mean
Definitely.
because muscle weighs more than fat? So even though you say you want to be 165, what you're describing is more like 185.
Right.
But
Right.
replacing muscle with fat or fat with muscle, I'm sorry. And so that's why I always make it easy and I kind of break it down and I always tell them, if you could look like any athlete, like who would that be?
Right.
And that gives me a better idea of what they're thinking in their head.
Right.
And then,
LeBron James.
right, LeBron,
Cristiano
like
Ronaldo.
LeBron
No, I'm just
James,
saying,
like
make this
I
body.
mean, yeah, you know what I mean. Like, I mean, obviously, I can't make you 6'8" and black, but I can make you look athletic like that. You know what I mean? So, but it's funny, but it really brings people down because then it says, okay, and then it gets them into that mindset that what you talked about. That the athletic mindset
Right.
is you get into that zone, and we've all played sport at some point in our lives,
Right.
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 Whether you played, pee wee for like a year or two,
Right.
or you were a athlete all your life. You know what I
Right.
mean? You get into that zone, and it
Right.
starts to bring back those childhood memories, those feel good moments. So once you're there, it's already set up, and that's why it's so big at 111 because, there's like, I believe we're up to like 5 or 6 trainers now, but
Yeah.
that vibe going back to that situation where you feel comfortable coming in every day is that no matter who
Right.
client is who, I don't decide I'm not going to talk to you because you're not my
Right.
client.
Right.
I mean, I think you and I have gone
Right.
to know pretty close. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Right.
you just barely started coming to the box fit class.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
So it's that energy and that vibe that we all have set there that we're not going to allow negative energy to flow into our place. And I think
I
that's what
agree.
makes our place so successful. And I think that's what makes it so attractive
Right.
is that vibe is there.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And it just so happens that we get to kick your ass in between that.
Right, right. I mean, that's
know what
why
I
you
mean?
guys got best gym.
Yeah.
Shout out to Desert Sun giving you guys that award.
Yeah, that was huge,
Um,
man. That was huge.
But yeah, dude, I definitely. It's like how you're saying. It's just like no matter what. I'm not a fucking professional boxer, but every Wednesday I go and it's like game day.
Yeah.
It's like I'm
Oh,
prepping
yeah.
myself. Like
I gotta-
boom,
I
I'm
gotta
about
get back
to.
in
No,
the gym,
we
bro.
keep talking about it.
Yeah.
He wants to go to one of your classes.
Yeah.
He was like, shit, dude, I should have gone to one of those classes. But that's what it is for me, and it brings that. No matter if it's you, Jaime, you
Yeah.
guys that gym, but definitely your class brings a different energy. Kicks my ass every single time, dude. But it's like gain, and I think you inspire me outside of that box fit class.
Yeah.
Anyways, bro. I mean, I
Thanks,
think
man.
it goes. I think it's your personality and all that. And speaking kind of like on what we were talking about before we were talking about like how athletes. I just got a brain fart. Like professional athlete or people that were professional athletes. Like what would be. What was I trying to get at? Like your message to people that aren't athletes anymore, but that still want to like, or maybe curious about trying your class out or having a session with you,
Yeah.
or anything like that.
Well,
I think that's kind of what we're talking
it's
about.
because it happens a lot, not necessarily professionally, but then you have college athletes and you have, people who played in high school and stuff like that, and life kind of takes them in a different direction, and sometimes for the good, sometimes for the bad, when it comes to physical health. But those kind of people they're really dope to work with because they already have that mentality set in.
Right.
You know
That
that,
Kobe
yeah,
mentality.
you know what I mean, that they were athletes, so they know what that feeling is like.
Right.
You know, and so that, but again, that's why I treat all my clients like they were former athletes or like they were athletic,
That's what we're saying.
because that it to me is I've never met anyone who doesn't want to be more athletic,
Right. Right.
right?
Right.
And so that makes my, my going back to what we were talking about, now I have that person who has that, who wants to be more athletic and has that vision of what they want their body to look like.
Right.
And so we talked about this, and that's where my ability as an artist comes into play.
Can you give us an
Right.
example of how, like, say, let's say, you being a coach to yourself back in the day before when your was it your ex lady
Yeah,
told you,
yeah,
hey, you're
yeah,
overweight or
yeah,
you're fat,
yeah.
like you walking into the gym and you being that coach, like what would you tell that person? Go,
Yeah. No, right.
put yourself on like both situations and you're the coach. The dude's coming in trying to get advice, like how would you approach it? Just because you've been a former um, athlete yourself.
Yeah. Well, anyone who's ever played sports, that agony of defeat just
Right.
kills you.
Right.
And I always tell people there's only two ways to respond: is you can continue to feel bad and be a victim and go play
Uh-huh.
and not realize it, or you can go back, look at the tape, and see
Right.
what happened.
Right.
What
Right.
could we have done different in this situation to avoid that loss, right?
Right.
So I don't like to dwell too much on the past when it comes
Right.
to that, but I do definitely like to work with those people because those are a little bit more motivated. I
Right.
feel
Yeah.
Right.
because they have some, and whatever I got to get you to hang on to
Right.
initially is I'm gonna continue that, and then once we get past that, then it's like okay, let's move on to something else. Why
That's
now?
sweet.
Why are we really here? You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's a pitch and go, and it's a sensitive um, thing to discuss with people because not everybody wants to be so open. So then me as a trainer
Right.
have to realize that that's where the psychologist in me has to come in and be like, okay, like let's not dig too deep because they're not ready for that yet,
Right,
or
right.
they're all about it. Let's use that for motivation. So a lot of times people don't realize as trainers, the easy part is to tell you to do 15 of those.
Right.
Yeah.
You mean the thing where it gets tough and you get what I call real trainers are those that are able to invite you in
Yeah.
Right.
and let you feel comfortable. You know what I mean? It's like talking to one of your dogs. You know what I
There
mean?
you
Talking
go.
to one of your homies that
Yeah.
are saying, I'm going through this.
Right.
Because people don't realize, like, I see you more than you probably see half your family.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you're coming in 3 to 4 days a week. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we start to get to know you. In that hour, it's just you and me.
Right.
So
Yeah.
eventually we're going to get to know each other.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? And so that's what I think sets me apart from a lot of other trainers is that I'm relatable and I like to have a little bit of fun and but at the same time you're gonna get a great workout because at the end of the day that's what I'm here to do. But I just feel like that's what keeps me busy and people respond to that, man. And
Right.
I'm blessed to I on average I have about 40 to 60 sessions a week. You know what I mean? So
Were you able to fill up those last slots in your schedule?
yeah. So that's why I posted when that I some I only want 3 other people to train,
Right.
and it's a crazy thing that I'm able to say that, but again, being careful of who I
Right.
choose and
And
want to
cancer
be
and-
around and be like that, because I'm blessed, man. There's a lot of stuff that like with boxing, the box fit class, like it was just
Love it.
the box fit class was just happened to be something that I was really a fanboy, bro. Like
Right.
I
right.
never went in the ring. I never boxed. Like,
I remember I asked
mean?
you that one time. I was like, hey,
Yeah,
bro, you used
yeah,
to box? And you're like,
yeah,
nah,
no,
dog, I'm
man,
just a big fan.
Yeah,
Like,
I-
shit, dude.
I'm
you
glad
know
it
your
worked out.
shit.
I've gotten my ass kicked a couple times in the streets, but that's another story. But nah, man. But it just started off with being like a fan of that grind. You know what I mean?
Right.
And of how tough boxing is,
Right.
and the sweet science behind it of all. It's just two people dancing, and people think it's just punching and going, and it's not.
no,
It's so
man.
much more to it. So much
Right.
more to it, and just being a fan of it just led me kind of go back into it. And a lot of people don't realize, like, I wasn't that all-star. I wasn't that kid that was naturally talented and everybody wanted to be a part of. No, dude, I was that kid who had to work my ass off just to be able to hang with you guys.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? I had to work night and day because I wasn't that great.
Right.
But that's what set me apart is that even though I didn't wasn't great, I started every game that I played in high school, and that was because I refused to not work hard to be where you wanted to be. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
And I think that's what boxing is you can't hide that, you
Yeah.
know, and that's how,
Your flaws will show when you get
Right.
punched in the
you know what I
Oh
mean?
face.
yeah. Or
If the
when you
work's
get
not
tired.
done, it's
Yeah.
gonna show.
Right. Right.
You
Right.
mean? And there's no one else to blame. There's not a head coach to blame. There isn't a defense that didn't
Right.
set back on
Yeah.
time. You know what I mean? That's what makes it harder,
You're
you
on
know?
your
Right.
And
own.
so it's just a different vibe, but
Right. Right. So
and,
so I'm sorry to
go ahead.
interrupt you, but speaking that we're on the topic of boxing, you
Yeah.
train Seb.
Yeah.
Seb, who's
Yeah.
pretty well known in the boxing
Yeah.
game. How did that come about? How did that come about? You know, can you give us a little bit of background on him
And
too?
Yeah.
You
how did
know.
you before we go there? How did you get up to speed with the whole boxing? Like,
Right.
how,
Right. Like.
we were talking about how you never stepped into a ring. Like,
Right.
how long have you been doing training for boxing?
So it all started because there was another kid that was going to be, he wanted to hire a trainer, strength and conditioning coach, and you know, knowing I wasn't the greatest athlete in the world, but I worked hard, so I knew what it took to get there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Even though I didn't have the natural
That's
ability to
inspiring,
do it.
though, bro.
You know what I mean? Was that I was going to work my ass off to make sure that I could hang with you.
Yeah.
And so that kind of went to the forefront when it came to working out. And so what happened is funny with Sebastian, dude, is that there was a kid that I got me to train, and he kept saying all this stuff. And you have these people who either talk and they have that say all these great things, or they want to do all these great things, you know. And it turned out he didn't do any of those things that he said he was set out to be. But again, you don't realize like how many like the people you come across with in a daily interaction are going to change your life forever.
Right.
And so he introduced me to Sebastian's older brother and his dad. So Sebastian's older brother was 10-0
Wow.
as a professional. Yeah, so
Wow.
that's how we started. Was his dad and I clicked. They asked me to go out to the gym what they were training at. I met them and we started getting vibe, and we started working out with Berto, and Berto was
Right.
really good, man. He was 10-0. It's just boxing is a hard thing on personal life.
Right. Right.
So not everyone's cut out for it, and Albert decided to kind of hang it up, and at that time, that's when Sebastian
Right.
kind of started getting.
How old was he when you?
I met Sebastian when he was like, I want to say 15 or 16 years
No
old.
way.
Yeah, and so
Wow.
Sebastian and I, we always have this running joke because we'd always joke, and he'd be like, "Oh, like you're gonna train me soon?" I was like, "Ah, well, I only train professionals, bro." Like just making the joke, what I mean? Just talking shit, just
Yeah,
make
yeah.
Yeah, man. But he ended up being turning pro, and him
Wow.
and I have been working together for a long time, and
That's dope. man.
What do you focus more with him on? Is it just you training him, or does he have a whole team of trainers that?
yeah, well, he's got his dad, dude. His dad, Coach Freddie. Coach Freddie's another amazing dude. I really wanted, like, that would really be dope for him to get on here, but
Yeah.
he's a little bit more selective about, like, going out, period. But
Right.
so it turns out before all this COVID stuff, like, him and I talk. We talk boxing a lot, and we talk about athletic ability and what we got to do. And so we treat every training camp specifically for that fighter of what do I want to work on with Sebastian this time? Are we going to
Right.
work on a lot of legs? Are we going to work on, more power? Because growing from being 18 to he's 22 now, there's a lot of difference and shift in the body because he becomes, what I say is, you kind of drop your balls a little bit. You become a man, so it's a
Right.
different strength. And so after every fight, we kind of sit back on the drawing board and we're blessed that he's, I think, 16-0 now.
Jeez.
And after every fight, though, we've always kind of looked back and see, okay, what could we get better on? What could we? And that's why I love Sebastian, man. Sebastian's a great kid, man. He's humble and he talks about we.
Right.
With Sebastian, it's never like
Oh, that's cool.
I'm the shit.
Right.
Sebastian's like, the team did a great job.
Right.
We prepped, we did everything, and we got the victory.
Right.
You mean? And that's what sets apart this kid, man. He's something special, man. I tell people all the time, and his dad and I, man, man, like you talk about the struggle, with you guys as well, what I mean?
Right.
Starting up a series and
Right.
a podcast and not getting paid for this, what I mean?
Right.
Because we're on the come up,
Yeah.
and so
You believe in their
yeah,
dream,
you,
Right.
just like you guys believe in this, man.
Right,
It's an
right.
honor to be here. You guys believe in this, and the passion's there, and that's where it all starts. And that's what I think doesn't apply to everybody. You know,
Right.
sometimes people get that and it's too much and they quit. You know, Sebastian was told, you know, he's 6'7", man. He he was told by everyone, hey, like, why don't you play basketball?
Right.
And Sebastian's never picked up a ball in his life, man. He probably
Right.
can't dunk. He can't probably can't even jump like maybe past like 24 inches. You know what I mean? But the thing with him is that he knew what his dream was,
Right.
That's cool.
Right.
and he wasn't gonna let anyone else get involved in that
Right.
situation. So that's why I love working with the man because
Yeah.
he's all about it.
Right.
He's-
His whole family's like a boxing family
yeah,
too,
dude.
right?
Yeah, they're crazy.
Right. Like his sister's pretty dope boxer too,
His
right?
sister's about to turn pro, man, and I always tell them there's Sebastian and Berto, and they have another little brother that would box for a while too, and then Gabriella.
Right.
And I tell Gabriella she's the best, dude.
Wow.
Out of
Shout
that
out
whole
to
family,
them, man.
and Sebastian's 16-0 and Berto was 10-0, bro, and they're 26-0 combined professionally. And this girl, I'm telling you, she is gonna be something special.
Really?
Yeah.
How old is she? Right now?
She just graduated high school, so she's just
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
she's just about
How many amateur fights does she have?
dude, she's got a grip.
Yeah.
She at some
Right.
point last year, her junior year in high school, she was like literally ranked #1 in the country.
Are you part of that
But-
training camp too?
With Gabby, I've worked with her a little bit, but this whole COVID thing, because we have to, respect the risk of that. So they're kind of they have their own gym at their house in their backyard
okay.
that set it up. So
That's
so
cool.
they just do their thing.
They
So
have the ring in
unfortunately,
the back? A ring in
yeah,
the back?
yeah, it's like a full ring, man.
Right.
So unfortunately, for these last couple fights, we haven't been able to work together because we want to keep the safe.
Are they in training camp right now? Any of them?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, they're always in training camp, man. That's what. Again,
That's their-
going back,
that's
that's
their
what they're all
full-time
about, dude.
job.
Like,
Right.
yeah, that's their job.
So,
And
right.
Sebastian talks about it all the time. Is, he after every fight, most fighters will take like a couple of months off and wait till the next fight is announced to continue to work out. And with Sebastian, we just kind of have to sometimes like hold the reins back a little bit and be like, "Hey, dude, no, chill." You know what I mean?
Keep it
Like,
steady,
no
right?
working out. So, but yeah,
Right.
he's back in it now, and
Yeah, because his last fight was
yeah,
really good.
Yeah.
yeah, man. He's on the verge of superstardom, man.
Oh,
Like,
man.
if he's gonna be there, and people don't realize. But we put the work in. He's put the work in, and he continues to work hard and do his thing. And I'm proud of the kid, man.
Yeah,
It's
man.
it's crazy. Yeah.
You mentioned something earlier about. I've never heard that from somebody who works in fitness. But every time we bring somebody on here, we kind of, no matter what kind of art they do, we always try to describe it as you're an artist. You said something about
Oh yeah.
you being an artist
Thank you for
as
bringing
a
that back.
trainer,
Yeah.
and being that your athletes are your canvases. Can
Yeah.
you talk a little bit about
Yeah,
that?
man. Yeah. So again, going back to how I talk to people about when they first get with me is I always tell them, what athlete do you have in vision when you see your future fitness goals, right?
Right.
So then they'll tell me an athlete, and then that's where my brain as an I consider an artist comes into play, and then I start to kind of like, okay, this is where we're going. So then my whole workout program gets designed, and it goes to that
Tailored
to
that person.
become that. Now, whether they hold their end of the bargain down or not, that's more so on them. But I try everything in my will, in my power, to be able to make that
To
happen
paint that picture
and see and paint
make it
that
real.
picture. Yeah, man. So.
Yeah, it's a dope analogy to have in fitness. I've never heard of it. So,
Yeah, well,
dude.
it's just
We all-
it's a game plan, and you have that canvas, and you have the ability to do with it what you want,
All right,
and
all right, all right.
so that's why, yeah, man.
Going into 2021, what is your like goal for this year as a trainer or as a just person in
person.
your personal life? Like, do you have any desires to take your business into the next level?
That's
Or- or
that
you
no
just-
no it's all good.
are you
That's a very interesting question, and I feel like the generic answer is to, oh man, I want to continue to get
Right.
busier, and I want to continue to do the things that are going to make me successful, and I'm going to get this, I'm going to get that, but I'm not settled. But I
Right.
fucking love my job, man. Like, I love what I do
Right.
for a living.
Right.
And my goal is just to be able to continue to bring that passion to
Right.
my business and to my personal life, because I feel like if I put that energy out there that I'm content and happy with everything,
Right.
then now again, and this is where like I get into this whole spiritual shit, man, because something that's really changed my life around is with my wife, because we talk about, and she talks about it more than I do, but I can't help but to resuscitate some of the stuff that goes on. And we're always focused on the next.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or you're always focusing on the oh shit, the bills, this, and that. So she's kind of really like changed my perspective on life, man. And like I give out everything I have, whether it comes to family life, or it comes to my business, because only then am I able to receive more.
Right.
If that makes
Right.
any sense.
Yeah.
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 You know what I mean? Because if I tell myself every day my fucking plate is full and I can't work anymore, I have too many clients, or I have this, or it's too crazy.
Right.
Well, how are you going to grow?
Right.
If you're telling yourself that. It's like you
Right.
want your plant to grow, but you're not watering it,
Right. Right.
right? And then, but when we water the plant, there's always something in the bottom, right, to filter out, to let the water out, right?
Right.
So that's exactly what we got to do with, I feel, our lives is accept and be like, I deserve all this,
Right.
right?
Right.
Yeah,
And-
not to have that imposter syndrome that we talk
Right.
about sometimes.
Yeah.
We do certain things and we're like, whoa, like we kind of amaze ourselves, but it's like, yo, like you've been growing
Yes.
to get to this point that
Right.
we're at now.
Right.
So like pat yourself in the back and keep it
Yeah.
pushing. Like you are where you're supposed to be in that. You
Right.
it's not like you didn't earn
Yeah.
that. You know?
Yeah. Sometimes we're so worried about what that our goal angle
Right.
is, we don't reflect and I'm like, oh shit, we've
Do you ever
done
get
this.
those breakthrough
We've done
moments
this.
with your athletes and say like where the athletes like does something that they couldn't do initially and they look at you and they give you that like
Yeah.
fucking thank you smirk
Fuck,
Shit, bro.
dude. So-
I
like,
could, I could speak for
So,
yeah,
so check
definitely.
this out, man. It's crazy you mentioned that. So I have this guy. His name's Pete, man. And he's probably, I love Pete to death, dude. But he's fucking loud. He's like obnoxious. Like he'll let you know that he's working out. He fucking sweats like a madman, bro. And he's a big dude. He's a big dude. And I started working out with him, and he was probably about 365, and he's down to like 297.
dang.
Damn.
And it's those little things, man. Like he's able to do push-ups. He's able to fucking go down the floor by himself and get him into that position. Whereas before we had to kind of get guided down, and it's crazy. But you don't realize it. It's not like he turned into this crazy specimen. But
Right.
he's the fucking healthiest dude that I probably know.
Real.
And it's crazy because we wear these heart monitors at our gym, and it's a crazy story. His was super low one day. Or super high, sorry, super high, and I was like, "Well, that's weird." And he goes, "Yeah, it doesn't get off or go down." I was like, "All right." So something told me that some shit wasn't right? So I said, he took that belt off, and then on the treadmill, he's able to, you put your hands on it, and it'll tell your heart rate, and it stayed about the same, And this is where kind of like that technology story, because I have my watch, and I just knew something was off. I could tell because his heart rate was like super high. It wouldn't. I think it was like 180. It wouldn't drop from 180. And so he hopped on the treadmill, hopped off, and I had put on my watch. And on my watch, I'm able to measure your heart rate too. And so he did it, and it was high. And I said, "Pete, dude, you gotta stop, bro. You gotta go to the hospital. Something's up." And yeah, man, if he ended up going to the hospital and he was in danger of having a heart attack.
Jeez. They're at the
And-
gym?
Yeah,
Wow.
and if we would have kept going, they said about another hour, he would have had a
Stroke.
you know what I mean. But he ended up going to the emergency room, and and you don't realize that, man. But yeah, it's something so simple as being aware of your client and
Right.
what their body is like.
Save his
You
life.
know what I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, man. So
How's Pete
Jeez.
doing?
Pete's still at it.
Yeah.
He's still working out. He works with me like 3 times a week, man. He's a great kid, great guy, dude. He just. Again, going back to that whole thing, you look at this dude and you're like, oh, man, this dude's like, not in good
Right.
shape, but he really is. He's in amazing fucking
Right.
shape, dude, and it's just crazy.
So speaking a little bit on getting to your goal again and all that, you had a rough pass. Obviously,
Yeah.
not only like your heartbreak, but you
Yeah.
had some things that trials and tribulations that
Yeah.
you kind of went through. Do you want to kind of talk a little bit about that and how that molded your mindset as a trainer to train people and be able to help them get out of that too? Kind of like we were talking about the depression thing.
Yeah.
But some of
Especially
the,
right now.
Yeah,
It'd be nice to
especially
talk,
right now.
Talk
Yeah.
about that with
Well, yeah, we'll talk
mental
about
health.
mental health, and then not only that, but in my world, like, there's no getting around it. You know, like
Right.
steroids play a big role in the gym world. You know,
Yeah.
and a lot of people just think it's like these big bodybuilders that take it. And
Right.
yeah, man. Now I when I first became a trainer, I lost a shitload of weight, dude. I think I was like 232 when I was, for me that was heavy.
I was at your highest.
Yeah, and then I dropped down all the way down to 164.
Damn.
Yeah, it was. I look sucked up, bro. Like,
Oh, wait, how
yeah,
tall are you?
I'm 5'10", dude.
Oh,
So like,
yeah.
yeah, it's that's suit, So I look sucked up, and when I started becoming a trainer, I was a skinny dude, like no muscle, just all skinny, like, and I was always felt super conscious about my body, my physique, and how sucked up I looked, and I didn't look healthy, and yeah, man. So I started using steroids to kind of bulk up, and it kind of like I used drugs a lot, I mean, like coke and like a lot of stuff, and
Right.
a combination of all that, and then I started doing steroids, man, and that kind of like made my life like fall apart because it's fucking
Wow.
insane, dude.
Wow.
Like cocaine, like steroids, drinking is like that's
Wow.
the recipe for disaster.
How long was that for?
It was
Initially, is
probably
this
like that.
initially when you first started? You used that as a coping mechanism to continue working out and stuff. Or?
Well, I used it because I wanted to be big, dude. I wanted to be huge. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the only way to do it was I worked with a bunch of other.
So you at one point got shredded.
I was pretty big, dude.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, I was never super big, but I was pretty big enough to where I felt really, really good about myself. But mental part,
Right.
Yeah.
like shit, man,
Right.
because I was battling all these demons and going through that, and then
This was after the breakup.
yeah, this was after the
Okay,
breakup.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
after the breakup, and so I was using that, to get revenge and look all big and intimidating and stuff like that. And yeah, man, my life really started falling apart. Like it's just, yeah, the combination of drugs and alcohol was just no good, and so I had to get sobered up, man.
What moment did you realize, like, dude, I need to get it together? Like, what changed it for you?
Fuck, dude.
Because you already had a daughter, no?
Yeah. So it's crazy. A lot of people don't like talking about it, but yeah, there was an incident. Fuck.
You don't have to talk
No,
about
no, it's all good. I'm okay with it. It's just
it. Gets to you.
it gets to me because, yeah, man. So steroid rage hit really hard,
Oh, really?
and I did something to my daughter that I still live with regret to this day. I mean, I didn't like, you know, I grabbed her really hard,
Right.
and that's when I realized like, what the fuck, because it was like an out of body experience, though. Like you're so fucking angry because the
Yeah,
steroids
yeah.
fucking just do this shit to you. You know what I mean? That no one wants to talk about, and it just fucking makes you a fucking animal, bro. Like
Right.
it's like fucking when the fucking Hulk starts to
Right.
fucking
And there's no
become the
control.
Hulk, there's no control. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Is this
And
all the testosterone?
yeah, because you got testosterone flowing into your system like a
Right.
maniac, dude. You know what I mean? So you're
Right.
just fucking constantly like ready to go, whether it's ready to fucking go lift or ready to go fucking
Right,
fight someone,
right,
And
right.
she said something, and I fucking grabbed her, and I was like, "What the fuck am I doing, dude?"
Right.
You know what I mean?
That set
Like,
you back.
yeah, because I it's weird. Like I had that experience where you're like physically doing there, and then like there was another me like standing over, like, what the fuck
Right.
is wrong with you?
Right.
You mean? And so that's what kind of got me sobered up, man. And I
Just like that.
yeah,
Wow.
well, yeah, I started going to meetings and like through a 12-step program, and fucking I got like 8 years sober, and
There you go.
you know what I mean? And so it's crazy,
That's
but that's
great, bro.
another thing that sets me apart. I feel from the trainers, like not that there's anything wrong with it, but it gave me the ability to be clear-minded all the time.
Right.
You know what I mean? And not be
Not fogged up.
fogged up with other stuff. Not that everyone else is like that. I'm saying
Right.
for me personally,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean?
That's
Yeah,
one
definitely, bro.
less
Yeah,
weight you have to
yeah,
carry.
one less something
Right,
else to trip
right,
about. You know what I mean?
right.
So it's crazy.
But I think too, it sets you apart in the way that you could connect with somebody who is going through that
Yeah.
somebody might not understand because it's like not everybody has those
No.
trials and tribulations.
Right.
So you're able to dig deep and be able to show
Yeah.
and be vulnerable to somebody.
Right.
And like, hey, I've been there before. You can
Right.
get out of it.
Right. It's just
Um,
it's that human aspect, man. It's like we
right.
got to start, treating each other like fucking humans, especially
Right.
like all this shit going on in the political world and stuff like that. It's
Right.
just we fucking forgot about how to be human, man.
Ooh, man.
Like, just think about that.
Just
We're
just
fucking
empathy because we're
Right.
so
Right.
disconnected. We don't have the
yeah,
ability to feel for others. Like
Right.
yeah,
we're kind of focused on ourselves.
right.
Right. Right.
Because think about it. And when was the last time you fucking felt really great about some shit, and you said to yourself, "Oh, I'm gonna call my homie."
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
But I
Now,
try
what
to
do we
hate.
do?
I
Right.
call these
What do we
fools,
do
but they
instead,
never
though?
answer.
When we feel fucking some good shit, what do we do? Oh, I gotta post this shit on Facebook.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And this is and that's great and all, but
True.
we've lost that human aspect, man. And that's why,
Right, man.
as a trainer, like that's what kind of fucking helps me keep myself in check
The
Right.
human
because I have to
element.
deal with
Yeah.
like not
Actual
deal with, but
humans.
like actual be
Right.
involved with like a human to human contact,
Yeah.
you know, and go through all that. You know
I
what I mean?
agree, man. I see that in you, and I see that connection that you have, like, with the community too. And kind of
Oh,
talk about
yeah.
that.
Let's do
Like,
that.
you ran for city, Cat
Yeah.
City, bro.
Yeah.
So can you tell us, like, what got you into that journey? You know?
He had a lot of support from this community.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
I kept hearing great things about
Right.
you.
Yeah, man.
and
So
the,
it's just
the things you've been involved with. Is
yeah, I
super
get
cool.
I get goosebumps, man, because that's another thing. Now I'm 38, man. So now there's so much more involved, and it's no longer just me. And it's just I don't want to leave this earth without leaving some sort of personal fucking legacy. You
Ooh, so,
know
man,
what I mean?
that's
And
yes,
letting
sir.
someone know because I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Like I wasn't that kid, whether when it came to athletics or fucking being popular. Like I was like kind of like that high school crowd that you kind of like fucking just get left out. You know what I mean? Where I wasn't athletic enough to kick it with all the athletes, or I wasn't super popular enough to kick it with all the popular kids.
You were
I was
like
just kind of
limbo.
like I was kind of like what you call like extras on a TV show.
Or
You know what I mean? Like
or the kid that got picked last.
yeah, you know what I mean? Or like I mean,
Ah,
I'm not,
okay.
you know what I mean? Like just kind of in the middle, like not even last because I wasn't like that bad, but like at the same time, like it was easy to just kind of like
To walk away from
Right.
certain.
you know
Right.
certain things, you know, like yeah. So
Right.
Thanks for sharing, bro. Because
Yeah.
Yeah, that was-
a lot of people are not willing to open up this much,
Right.
and it just shows that the human element of what you do, like there has to be a connection. There has to
Right.
be like empathy as a trainer to be
Right.
like, hey, you're not where you're at, but you could get to this point.
Right.
Like seeing people's potential and having and just harnessing and harvesting that drive that they have
Right.
into something that you guys both can come to like understanding like yeah these might be your physical like limits,
Right.
but let's focus on your strengths and like let's
Right.
build on certain things.
Yeah.
I've always or I used to run a lot in school
It was a badass.
and
What- Fastest
I'll-
guy in the valley at one point.
the people that I learned the most were like my coaches.
Yeah.
I didn't really have a lot of maybe one or two teachers, and I went through high school, university and stuff,
Yeah.
and I can only like remember two or three names out of my teachers.
Who was
But
it? I want to know.
My
Your
teachers.
two guys.
I had an art teacher in college, and I had my architecture teacher. She was like this most. I thought she was a badass, bro. Like she's just this.
Intelligent, just
She's just this chilanga from
Really?
from Mexico that was teaching architecture, and was always going against the grain. Like was constantly hated on because she had a voice. She was very opinion oriented. She always wanted to have like her way because she had a goal in mind,
right.
and I think that's what Jr. like has in common with
With these,
with these people in my life. Like I always hold them dear, and like that's something that these people that train with you, you're like attached to them forever, and that's your legacy as well. Like in your community,
yeah.
that's a part of what you're doing with
Premier
with the people
Fitness.
with Premier Fitness, with the people that you're training. Like we don't ever want to disappear. Like as humans,
right.
Right.
we don't we. That's why we have children, like
Right.
to leave our seed. But as artists, we're constantly always trying to leave something that is either where there's a mural or like a
Right.
hieroglyph and shit.
Right.
Like
That's
they just
true.
want to be
whatever,
leave
yeah.
their mark.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And this is
Yeah.
cool. How do you go into city, like running for city, like what is your objective? Because you were talking about how you weren't the best or whatever, but your community, how, like, what are you gonna bring to your community, or what were you thinking that you would bring into your community as a city council member?
That whole thing was brought on to the simple fact that I was that kid that I got kind of left in the shadows in high school.
Yeah, I really want to
Is
build
our
on
city is basically into two demographics, dude. I'm gonna be fucking 100% blunt, honest with you.
Yeah.
Let's talk about
And
it.
some people ain't gonna like it, and some people are
Right.
gonna be like, "Oh yeah, it is what it is."
Mhm.
But our city's broken up into two divisions, dude.
Right.
You have the working 60% who are fucking Hispanic
Right.
communities,
Right, blue
fucking
collar.
blue collar people,
That's right.
and then you have another section of the cove that's fucking made up by certain classes, certain people that don't have children, and
Right.
partners, life partners, and nothing wrong with that,
Right.
But our city council isn't represented by that, man.
Right. Right.
Yeah, the
There's no-
constituents.
It's
and
not
Constituents-
100%
No, man.
representing
the
the
average.
community.
The average age in those chambers, as far as someone is like fucking, I think like 50 something years old.
Right. Right.
They didn't grow up here.
Right.
There hasn't been a single person that grew up here
In
that
the-
has gotten
They
elected.
were born out of JFK.
And yeah, yeah, man, and I was tired of seeing that and I don't want to compare it to anything major or crazy or saying that it is, but it's like South Africa, right? South Africa for the longest time
As apartheid.
it was completely
right.
like
Segregated.
regulated and by white people, even
Yeah.
though most
Right.
of their population were black. And I'm not
Right.
making it a race issue. I'm just making an issue of simple fucking demographics, man.
Right.
Is our city, my skin color, my
Right.
people, aren't being
Class.
represented. They're my age ain't
Right.
being represented. And Cathedral City has like mostly by the demographics, I think the analytics show that the average age is like 38,
Uh-huh.
Wow.
and there's an average about 1.5 children per household, and not one single member of
Have children.
there are in that demographic.
Oh.
So how can we expect someone like that, again going out to the bigger picture,
Right.
is how can we get rid of these fucking Mitch McConnells, these Chuck
Right.
Schumers, these people have been in there forever. You lost touch.
Yeah.
Right.
And so now these people, I feel that we've lost touch within our own community.
Yeah.
We don't have an identity. We
Right.
think we do,
Right.
and we want to turn into like mini Palm Springs, and we're fucking not Palm Springs. We're Cathedral City,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
and it's a different fucking.
What do you
aspect.
think? What do you think of the casino that just got built right across your guys' gym?
I mean, I think it's dope, but that's just another thing. Is the city fucking sold out?
Yeah.
Right. Right.
What's still fucking running there
Right.
during all this? I
Right.
mean, and nothing against them. I respect it fully, but they don't have any because it's on sovereign land. Well, it's on bought sovereign land,
Right.
and the city gave up a park,
Part.
Yeah. The school.
a school. No, well, I don't know.
Well,
if
it was already
It used to be a
done,
school,
yeah.
but the park there, and and it just shows you where they have their mindset
Right.
is they want to continue. Yeah, but
And
we're
that park
broke.
was like a first park, right? In Cat
yeah,
City,
it
I
was like
think.
it was like the park where all like I have a thing is like if all my homies grew up on Second Street because that was that park, Second Street Park.
Yeah.
But they're changing it everything, and it doesn't change. They can add fucking all the
Right.
fucking glitter
Right.
they want, but that's not Cathedral City.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just wanted to give a voice to those people that are in Cathedral City,
Right.
But unfortunately, it didn't work out. I think I lost by quite a bit, but I did it my way.
Yeah.
Right.
I wasn't gonna fucking settle
I
and.
agree.
Are you willing to do it all over again?
I think so.
Yeah.
I
Because
think
just
we can get
fucking-
that shit boiling.
It's
and-
just the fucking thing here. It is, dude. Is that everyone said it was too young and too immature because I let my feelings out on the gram and on Facebook, and I'm not gonna shy away from that, dude. I'll tell you right now, the lady who won and the two other races, between the two, they raised fucking like $55,000. $55,000, dude, for a fucking city appointed thing that you get paid 14 G's a month,
Jeez.
14 G's a year for.
Yeah.
They raised 55 grand, dude.
Jeez.
And meanwhile, we can't get stuff for our kids
Right.
built because people bitch and moan about it being complaining about because they don't have enough money.
Right.
But someone gave out 55 G's worth of donations to these people, right?
Right.
I wanted to do it my way, dude. I only took 2 G's, dude.
Right. Wow.
Because during this epidemic, how the fuck am I gonna go up to you and all this shit? People are losing
Right.
homes, people are losing businesses, and I'm gonna ask you to donate $1,000 to my campaign.
Right.
Why
That's
don't-
not me, man.
Why don't we
It's
do
ain't-
like a grassroots?
You mean?
And,
So
like, get
we
the
did.
whole community.
You mean? And
involved?
that's how it started, you know. But the
Right.
seed's been planted.
Yeah.
Right.
For
You mean?
sure.
And so,
Hey.
you know what I mean? Hey, you see
For
what I
sure,
did there?
for
You see
sure.
what I did there?
Uh-huh.
Sure.
I took broadcast journalism classes long enough in college to know a little something about transitioning.
There you
But
go.
no, man. But it's just that's what it's all about, and I just want to know my kids that I tried.
You inspired
Right.
me in that sense because me and my buddy Eric have talked about we don't even have we're on unincorporated lands in Morongo Valley, so they don't even have a city council. We don't have
Right.
Right.
that chamber to go in and like figure things out for our community.
That's crazy.
I live in
too.
San Bernardino County.
Right.
I wish I grew up in Cass City, so I wish I could be a part of that. But because I'm
Right.
not a resident in that place, I can't really affect my community. But I can in a way where I can like,
Show your support.
like show my support by shining light on
Yeah.
Right,
on
man.
Yeah.
people like you that
'Cause-
are willing to put themselves out there, selfless, transparent, vulnerable for their community. For their community, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
That's I commend
Yeah,
you for
bro.
that. Bro.
Yeah, man. It's a grip, and again, I don't like to talk about it much, and I don't even think I've really ever put that out there. But a lot of people don't know. But every year, I sponsor 2 kids, like a girl and a guy, who are into sports, who have good grades, and they train with me 2 to 3 times a week, and I don't charge them a single dime.
Wow.
That's cool.
Giving back to the
You know what I mean?
community, man.
Because it's going back to when I was a kid. I wish I had that coach,
Right.
that believed in me a little bit more. You know
Were
what I
your parents involved
Definitely.
in like your athletic like growing
mean?
up?
Nah, dude,
They-
nah. My parents are old school, man. My mom signed me up for baseball, and my dad was just that dude that always like kind of yelled, that old school Mexican dad. Dude, you know what I mean? Like just fucking like, damn, you suck. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, this is why. That's why I told you. You know
Traigo.
what I mean? And so now my kids, they do everything, man. Any little sport
Yeah,
that they want to
I
jump
see
into,
that.
they fucking.
I see it on the gram all the
like
time.
We're going. We rode like 4 miles this morning, like on our bikes. You know what I
Dope.
mean? With the kids, like.
Dope.
You know what I mean? I'm not perfect, but I'm just trying to, be a little bit better than what my past was. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Do they want to be trainers too? Then now that they see you
No,
do
I
that
have
all
I
the
have a
time?
little I have a little one, dude. My middle one, she's 7, dude, and she's a fucking monster. Dude.
Really?
Yeah, any sport that she does, like she's good, like naturally.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So
Wow,
it's kind of
wow,
crazy because I
wow.
grew up like having to work my ass off, and this one like picks up a ball. And she's like, "Oh,
Like,
look,
huh?
bam!" And she
Maybe
makes
it was
like
that
nothing.
hidden gene
You know
in
what I mean?
you. You never
Nah,
knew.
she gets it from her mother.
Yeah,
bro.
yeah. Well,
There you go.
my dad was a jockey, and Lauren's dad was actually, and he swam in the Olympics, man.
Hey.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
so
swam
it definitely runs in the blood.
And in Montreal, he swam for the Virgin Islands, man.
Wow.
It's crazy, yeah. You know what I mean? So it's there, but it's just getting it out of them. So
Wow, man. To kind of end the community talk, what's maybe 3 things that you would love to see happen in your community in Cat City?
the main thing that is, again, I want to give those kids that are forgotten about, that are just kind of left in the things, that aren't able to play AYSO or go to
Right.
high school. You know what I mean? Just to have fun, man. And there's a big thing, and it's the desert recreation.
Oh, okay.
So they basically overtake all the cities as far as like recreation ideas. So they build a gym, and any kid can go in there as long as you're a resident.
Right.
You can go in there, and they do basketball, like all
They
kinds of sports.
They have something like this.
yeah, man. And
Where?
every single city besides Cathedral City and Indian Wells, bro.
Wow, I had no idea.
And Indian Wells, I'd expect that from, because it's mostly retirees that there. But
Right.
every other city besides us has it.
Wow.
And that's because we don't want to add it to our thing, because I think they budgeted out to, it would cost homeowners $150 extra a year.
How much do we pay for sidewalks?
You know what I mean?
You know?
You know what I mean?
We
stupid
pay
things.
for sidewalks.
But then that goes back to what I was telling you about. But
Wow.
yeah, we can donate
Priorities.
50,
Jesus.
but then we can
Priorities.
donate 55 G's to a fucking campaign. You know what I mean?
Priorities.
and it's
sure.
priorities. You know what I mean?
Jesus.
And that was the big thing that I was running on, is to give our youth something to do, man, other than just you know hang out at the skate park,
Right.
or and there's different athletes all around, man, not just certain things. And so that's something that was really big on my platform. That is, I wanted to do that.
Right.
Is give
Who do
our
you
youth.
have to talk to get that going? Like,
Well, that
even
that
even
that
to
stuff.
pressure the people that are
Yeah.
in
Well, that
office right now.
yeah.
Like, yo, what's
Right.
up?
Well, it's just continuing to let your voice be heard, man.
Yeah.
And making it loud enough so people hear you. You know what I mean? And I think that's why I'm going to continue to push forward with it, and try to get people to vote on it and stuff like that, because I want to make sure our city continues.
Right.
How do
Right.
people, to wrap this up? I think we covered a lot of
Right.
topics.
Right.
Um, how do people get a hold of you to get onto the box fit class? Um, or do you not have any spots left in your classes, or
Yeah, well, it's always changing, but
through
the
your
easiest way is just to go through 111conditioningclub.com
okay?
and then sign up for all of our classes, because we have a lot of amazing classes, not
Right.
just box fit, but there's classes Monday through Thursday at 6 p.m. that are really amazing. And
Is that only a class that you have? Is that the only class you
I
have?
only teach that class at
Okay.
6, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
But everything else is
It's like personal.
personal training,
training,
stuff like
right.
that. And you can always reach out to me at Premier Fitness 33 at
On IG,
on
hit
the
that
IG.
follow.
And you also have amazing more trainers out of that gym. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
we have.
do they have specific requirements to be training there as well, or like do they do only one-on-ones, or do they
Yeah,
teach
no,
classes?
they do one-on-ones. Christian does some classes. Corey does some classes sometimes too. But the other ones, they just do mostly one-on-ones and small groups right now because
Sweet.
of the situation we're in. But yeah,
Right,
man, they're all
Right.
amazing. We have an amazing team there, man. I'm
Yeah,
just
you
happy.
guys
do.
I'm just
I'm
happy to
man.
be a
always
part of
I
it, man.
love repping
Best,
yoga
Yeah,
best of the valley,
yeah,
for real,
or
man.
yoga. Go yeah.
Go yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we usually ask one question, always, and it's if you were to look back at the you 10 years ago.
Shout out
What,
to Luis.
yeah, this is his
He couldn't be
question.
here, guys.
Couldn't be here today. Shout out to Luis. If you were to look back at 10 years ago, what would you tell him? What advice would you tell him, or what would you say?
I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. I wouldn't tell him shit,
Hey, I think that's the first time anybody's ever said that
and
one.
I mean that in the
Okay.
sense that the last 10 years got me to where I'm at right now.
Ooh.
So why would I change that?
Right. Right.
You
And
mean?
I like hearing different
You mean?
perspectives on this.
Because
Definitely.
it's the truth. You mean?
Definitely.
It's my truth.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, because what if I tell that kid, work your ass off, and things happen, and you become this athlete that you wanted to be, but
You didn't
who
build on.
knows that that's gonna make me happy?
Yeah.
Right.
You mean?
Right,
Like, I'm
right.
blessed. I have a beautiful wife at home. I have 3 beautiful children. I have a great career. Like why would I want to change that?
That's good, bro.
Man, it's beautiful, bro.
You know?
What you have any other things you wanna put out there? Just
No,
before
man.
we-
It was just dope to finally be on here and have a conversation with
Do
you.
you have
guys.
any
You guys-
questions for us?
Um,
But
No,
have you-
man. It's more of a statement, and I love the passion, the hustle that's behind it. You know what I mean?
Sweet.
Because
Thanks, man.
that fruit will grow, man.
Hell yeah.
That
seed
tree will fucking be there.
Right,
Like
right.
Sebastian was told, you shouldn't fucking box. You should play basketball.
Right.
And he's on the verge of superstardom.
Yes,
And that's
he
why
is.
this hustle isn't made for everybody, man.
yeah.
Right.
And that's what makes you guys great. And this is why, like, I was like, oh man, it'd be dope if they asked me, like, fuck, I wanted it for a long
Right,
time. You know what I
right.
mean? And so when you guys said, I was like, oh hell yeah, because I respect that hustle
Right,
from you guys.
right.
You know, because I've been through that hustle. I know
Right.
what that's like. You know what I mean?
Yes,
And
sir.
to be a part of it was really dope, man. So fucking
Thanks,
thanks a
bro.
lot for having me
Well,
out.
thank you, man. I know
Yeah.
I could speak on behalf of all of us. Thank you for coming out here and doing the interview, bro. And hopefully we'll do one in the future again,
Yeah,
bro.
that's dope, man. It's a good
so
time.
thank you.
Or some
Appreciate you guys.
collaborations.
Definitely,
Yeah,
definitely.
maybe
Maybe on Seed Planner podcast
yeah,
too,
for
brother.
sure, man.
So,
Let me know. It'd be
uh,
dope.
Thanks,
but yeah, bro. Thank
Yeah.
you, man. This is Selected Series. We're out.
Later.